What is up, everybody? This is Donnie, aka Elevated, with another video on behalf of Dota Alchemy, and this is going to be a fun little piece of content that I'm experimenting with called the meme or the meta. And we are going to be talking about some very off-meta, very theory-crafty builds that I'm taking into pubs and hopefully winning with. And that's just because, you know, Dota is such a complex game that there are way too many solutions to the problem of winning the game for us to even consider that the entire game has been figured out. And while the pros have certainly come up with some pretty optimal strategies, you know what? It's a game at the end of the day, and approaching it in a fun and sort of experimental way is how I personally enjoy playing Dota the most. So we're going to go ahead and talk about Position 5 Chaos Knight, and to do that, we are going to start by defining the Position 5 role as I currently see it. So if you are playing Position 5, you are definitely going to be buying basically all of the wards, all of the detection, and in pubs, you tend to also buy all of the smokes and dust and everything like that. And that's totally fine, because the 5 really needs to do a couple main things. First of all, they need to secure the safe lane hero at least some modicum of farm. They need to be able to keep the enemy team off them, or at least sustain them in the lane. And then once the laning stage breaks down around 4 to 5 minutes, maybe a little bit later, maybe a little bit sooner, depending on the game, the 5 wants to be able to rotate and start getting kills and having some impact somewhere else on the map. So the first thing that I noticed about Chaos Knight is that he has the ability to do a pretty strong crit and also lifesteal at the same time. And to me, that speaks to being able to trade very well in the lane. And lanes are definitely kind of trending towards being a harass-heavy style of play right now, and being able to out-trade people is a really good way to secure farm for your cores. So what I like to do on Chaos Knight is basically just skill my crit level 1, and then because it's only a 4-second cooldown, that means you're going to be getting a 25% lifesteal hit that also crits for a good chunk of damage every 4 seconds. And usually that means that you can outtrade most other heroes in the lane and bully them away from your carry. And this pairs very well with heroes like an Anti-Mage or a Drow Ranger, or a Slurk, a hero that does not want to be trading within the first couple of levels. And you can even buy enough space for them to potentially get solo experience, because you're able to chase the enemy heroes all the way under their tower at times. So Chaos Knight is a tanky brawler in the early stages of the game, and that actually pairs very well with the Position 5 playstyle. He also has incredibly high movement speed. I believe it's 322 without any items. And that means that you're going to be able to chase people down. You're going to be able to take good trades. You're going to be able to catch people. And also it means that when you do pick up boots and a windlace, or tranquil boots and a windlace, you're going to have more movement speed than basically any other hero in the game for the vast majority of the early and mid game. This makes you incredibly good at scouting, incredibly good at chasing, incredibly good at warding, and really, really, really good at ganking. So that 5-minute bounty rune, you are very good at securing, and then you can transition that into a gank mid, which is quite easy when you consider that Chaos Knight has one of the strongest single targeted stuns in the game. And even at level 1, it does a massive amount of damage depending on your RNG roll, and can stun for up to 2.2 seconds, which is absolutely ridiculous when you consider that almost all other level 1 stuns in the game have been nerfed to be 1 to 1.5 seconds at max. Now, if we're getting into some of the more memey stuff that you can do with Position 5 Chaos Knight, you can kind of think of his Reality Rift as a mini glimpse, because if you level this up, it actually provides a very strong 40% slow for 3 seconds, but it also pulls people closer to you. So it's sort of like a mini hook or a mini glimpse for people that are trying to get away. And if you do max this out, then you have that on a 5-second cooldown, which can be a very strong mechanic. Another thing that I really like about Position 5 Chaos Knight is that a lot of Position 5s tend to be on the squishy side, and that means that the enemy team will be targeting you in fights to remove the lockdown that you might provide. Let's say you're a Lion or a Shadow Shaman, Ancient Apparition, something like this. It's very easy to just dive on these heroes, or a hero like a Storm Spirit, for example, a Phantom Assassin, and just delete you from the fight and then it feels pretty bad if you're just constantly being knocked out of these fights really early on and unable to get off any meaningful spells. On Chaos Knight, however, you are a strength hero with one of the highest strength gains in all of Dota, and that means that even if the enemy team does target you, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to survive and be able to fight back. And because all of your abilities are quite low cooldown, you're going to get off a couple rounds of spells in the fight. Now, team fighting is one area that I will say Chaos Knight has a relatively weak impact, just because he doesn't have any sort of AoE control that a lot of these other, great position 5s like Wyvern and Grimstroke do have. However, he does have the ability to scale very, very well into the late game with a strong GPM talent at level 20. And then also, if you're ever able to get an Aghanim Scepter, you can potentially just win your team the game by making 3 extra copies of the strongest hero on your team. And speaking of Chaos Knight's ultimate, that is one of the most interesting parts about playing this hero as a position 5, because normally if this is a core hero, the ultimate is what you play around because it allows you to just dominate fights, one-shotting each hero on the enemy team. However, as a 5, you're not going to have quite the same damage impact, but in the early stages of the game, between maybe level 6 and level 8, level 9, there's a good chance that the damage steroid of having 3 extra copies of yourself will allow you to almost solo carry fights even without very many items. And once you get into the mid stages of the game, you can almost treat your ultimate as sort of a slightly worse Serpent Ward, because you can just pop your ultimate and send it down a lane and it will push it out, and you can even siege towers with this while you are safely playing with your team, or even baiting your illusions for your team to smoke behind. So there's just a lot of creative things that you can do with this position 5 Chaos Knight, and I've been having a lot of fun experimenting with it. And it's definitely not something that I would pick every single game, but I do think that it pairs very well with a weaker laning stage carry that scales very well into the late game. Just imagine if you could create 3 extra copies of a late game Spectre, just how scary that would potentially be. So let me know what you think about this meme or meta in the comments section below. Good luck, have fun in your games. Maybe we'll see you playing position 5 Chaos Knight, and we will see you in another video very soon.